Hello and welcome right back here to the smoke-filled room. My name is Will Duncan, and today we're going to be talking about a difficult topic, something that's been in the news a lot recently, and that would be abortion. Sadly enough, so a couple months ago, if you watch any kind of news or have a Twitter or Facebook, anything, you would have heard a lot about this guy. His name is Ralph Northam, and he's the governor of Virginia. He's a Democrat, recently elected, and he was sitting down with the radio station, and he was talking about a new bill that had been put forth in their state legislature, and that bill had to do with botched abortions and what they do with the babies afterwards. He basically said that the baby, if the abortion failed or whatever, they would put the baby aside that was born. It was outside of the womb, and the parents and the doctor would sit down and have a discussion about going forward. Obviously, meaning whether we eliminate this child or not, terminate it. And that, of course, I mean, that baby is born at this point. We're no longer living with 1, 2, 3, 4, 20-week abortions. We're dealing with babies that are actually born. These babies are outside, they are breathing. Whether they have an illness, whether they have some kind of birth deformity, does that child not deserve to live? Like if it has Down syndrome, if they have autism, like, why? Those people bring joy to our lives. They make our lives more interesting and fun. Have you ever met somebody with Down syndrome? Like, those are some of the most happy, enjoyable people to be around, and to simply eliminate them off the face of the planet is just incredible. And they've actually done that, I believe, in Ireland, or Iceland, I can't remember. I'm not going to talk on that, but they've actually eliminated Down syndrome completely out of their country due to abortions, which is just, it's terrible, it's disgusting. We're talking about eugenics, we're talking about infanticide. These are legit issues that we're facing now. And I mean, the Democratic Party has completely supported this frame of mind, this mindset that abortion, like, even after the child has been born, they still support killing that baby, which is just incredible. What world do we live in, man? So last night, the 25th, February 25th, if you want to go back and look at voting records and whatnot, the Senate voted on a bill, and that bill was dubbed the Born Alive bill, protection bill, and that essentially was to combat the idea of infanticide and what Ralph Northam said in Virginia. And these new bills are popping up in New York. They passed one taking away the rights of those children. And it basically protected the survivors of botched abortions. The bill, one of the statements is to prohibit a healthcare practitioner from failing to exercise the proper degree of care in the case of a child who survives an abortion or attempted abortion. So basically, if the baby comes out, that baby is now a baby, and that is a full-fledged person that we're dealing with now. We're no longer dealing with a cluster of cells or an embryo or a fetus, like, we are legitimately dealing with a full-grown, living, breathing baby that is outside of the womb, that is no longer a hindrance to the woman, period. And what is absolutely crazy to me and astonishing is that this bill did not pass in Congress. Like, how crazy is that we can't even protect children that are born? The Democrats killed this bill, of course, supporting their infanticide agenda, and in doing so, they exposed themselves. I mean, safe, legal, and rare was the original contention about abortion, that it should be safe for the mother, well, obviously not for the baby because it's murder, safe for the mother, and it should be legal, and it should be rare. That was their whole platform. And now, in just a matter of a couple of years, we have completely changed. They have completely changed the the outlook, man. They've completely changed their agenda 180 degrees. And they've voted in full infanticide that it should be totally fine. The vote was 53 to 44, and they needed 60 votes in order to break the filibuster. Senator Sass, I believe, was the one that put it forward, and he used a certain loophole to be able to put it to pass right through committees and everything, and not have to worry about all that and go straight to the floor. So I have trouble understanding the Democratic stance at this point, because they seem to, their whole thing is always human rights, LGBT rights, African American rights, minority rights, all of this. This is what they stand for. This is what they claim to stand for. These are the people that they claim to stand for. But I mean, the most incapable of helping themselves, like the babies, man, the fetuses that are inside the mother. Those are living organisms that they legitimately have no way to defend themselves against anything. They are the minority of the minority, So how they cut off human rights when it enters the womb is just so strange to me. And I want to talk about in my view, one of, if not the most important verse in the Bible, two verses that really just spit in the face of these people. So Genesis 1:26 through 27 says, this is the ESV, "Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish in the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. So, of course, the most important part of that is God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Well, and then there's the male and female part, which is a whole other issue. Only male and only female. There's no 17 other genders. So this is hard to do, but I mean, if you claim to be a Christian, how can you support a party that is literally killing babies and infants that God created, and God created in his own image? If you're a Christian or claim to be one, you cannot be a Democrat anymore. You just can't. This has to be a single voter issue, a single issue voting. And I'm sorry to say it, but your party is so radical and insane at this point. They want to replace your God with government through socialism/communism. They want to kill innocent babies in the likeness of God and out of the womb. And they're replacing your religion with climate change, as the great Matt Walsh would say. Listen to him. Honestly, it's amazing. There is no middle ground anymore. There is no, when the baby can feel pain at 20 weeks. There's none of that. It doesn't exist. There's no logical line that you can draw when it comes to abortion. It's either it is a baby and it has if not life, the potential of life, or it doesn't. And the science backs one side of that and not the other. Biology says that a fetus, or an embryo, or whatever, that is a living organism, and that is alive, and that is I mean, if you believe in God, that is God's likeness growing. That is one of the most this is the most perfect form of a human anymore, because we're so broken and we live in a fallen world. But that is the most pure form of humanity, and they still kill him. And it's just incredible to me. So a lot of people, when they get abortions, they're talking about, oh, I don't want this baby. It's going to be financially draining. The health of the mother, rape and incest. They just don't want the baby. There's so many different excuses that people give to literally commit murder. But I hate to tell you, but no matter what mistake you made or whatever choices you made, does that then mean that you get to kill a baby? Does that mean that you get to commit murder? How does I just don't understand how that works. And this is an unpopular opinion, I understand that. But I'm gonna put it out there because this is my voice, This doesn't have to be your view, but rape and incest are no different, in my opinion. That is still a baby. That baby did not commit the crime. That baby deserves a life, and that rapist or that incest committer, whatever you call them, that person deserves to die. They need to be prosecuted and put to death. Rape is possibly the most disgusting thing you can possibly do to a person, but that doesn't mean that baby doesn't get to live just because somebody else made a bad decision. Somebody else did something that was so disgusting. Doesn't mean that you have to kill a perfect human being in the womb. And I can't help but think about, in a few hundred years, those people looking back on our civilization and thinking like, wow, man, those people were barbaric. Those people were disgusting. Those people were so gross. Like, how can you kill an innocent human? How can you take a life from something that hasn't even got to breathe yet? Like, just think about the way we look back on the 16, 17, 1800s, where slavery was so prevalent. And we look back and we're like, wow, people were really that demented and really that disgusting. And it took such a great change for that such a great force to change that. The Civil Rights Movement and Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War, man, like, all these things happened. We fought an actual war over this injustice. And I don't see a difference between the two. We are killing people that can't even defend themselves, just as slaves were brought here against their will and were forced to work against their will and were disgusting. Everything that happened in that day and age was disgusting. But I see the correlation is so strong. People that cannot defend themselves, people that are being taken advantage of, babies that are just being thrown away at the first sign of inconvenience. It's just so disgusting and so wrong. Back to the safe, legal, and rare case that Democrats used as their platform for a long time. I believe it was Hillary Clinton that first said that. Let me just give you some facts. These are facts. These are actual studies. All of this I got on all.org, all.org. So the total number of abortions in the United States from 1973 to 2013 was over 56.5 million. That is so incredible. That is 56.5 million babies, or full-fledged people at this point, that would be living and walking around and producing and giving to society and adding to society. Like, wow. There are 219 abortions per 1,000 live births. That is per the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control. There are about 1.058 million abortions per year. You break that down, it goes down to 2,899 per day. And you can break that down again, it's 120 per hour. And that is about one abortion for every 30 seconds. And if that doesn't take away from your whole rare argument, the facts, man. I'm looking at facts. And if you can't see that, and if one abortion every 30 seconds is rare to you, I would hate to see a world where abundance is used in abortion. That is just insane. So, whenever we talk abortion, Democrats always bring up or pro-choice, right? It's a mirage. It's gaslighting, getting away from the real picture. They're pro-murder, infanticide. They claim that it's all about women's health. It's all about the health of the mother and all that. But I mean, if you really think that in today's day and age, a mother cannot sustain a child growing inside of her in today, like, how did women have babies in thousands and thousands of years ago? We have C-sections now. We have all of these medical advancements that allow us to, there basically are no health complications during abortion. Or during birth, sorry. I'd say one of the only ones that I think about is if you indirectly kill the baby. So if the mother has cancer and she's going through chemo, and that chemo will affect or terminate the baby, that is, the mother obviously takes prevalence over the unborn baby. And I say that in almost every case, unless when everything else is out of the picture, there is no other option to save the life of that mother other than to terminate the pregnancy. That is the only time I see it necessary or see a logical path to allowing that to happen. Another thing is, what about rape and incest? What about the health of the mother? Did you know that less than 1% of abortions, less than 1%, are due to rape and incest? And the same is true for health of the mother, which is a broad term anyways. So there are 90% are just because 90% of abortions are just because people made a mistake, or they can't financially handle the baby or whatever. There is so many different things that we can do to help that. We give hundreds of millions of dollars to Planned Parenthood every year, and if we were to defund Planned Parenthood and take that money and put it into the adoption system to be able to support those people, we would have a much more civilized way of taking care of that, rather than, this is just it's a hindrance to me, so I have to kill this baby. It's like, my neighbor walked on my lawn, so I'm gonna go shoot him. Does that make sense? It's so crazy to me. I just can't understand. It's so disgusting and wrong, and it brings tears in my eyes sometimes because of how disgusting and barbaric and gross the Democrats are. They're the oldest political party in the country, and they're supporting this. It's just incredible. The vile murder of even unborn people that are not born, babies that have actually exited the birth canal and are laying there, and they still won't support the rights of those people, those actual full-fledged people, babies. So now we'll talk a little bit about the logical lines that people like to draw. I think that if the baby can't feel pain, why would you save the baby? If it can't feel pain, then abortion's perfectly fine. So a baby feels pain at about 20 weeks, right? 20 weeks is usually around that time. But what about 19 weeks in 6 days? What about 19 weeks, 6 days, and 12 hours? You know, there's never a line that you can really draw, because if you do that, then you have to start thinking about like hand development and like development of the senses and all of that. And there's no line you can draw. I mean, maybe like a week in, maybe when it is legitimately the sperm and the egg together. That is what it is. There's no logical line that you can draw, and that's why they've progressed to the point where now we're literally talking about killing babies. Infanticide, homicide, murder is what we're talking about now. And safe, legal, and rare, man. Safe, legal, and rare was their platform. It was what they stood for. It was what they believed was right. Safe, legal, and rare. And in today's America, we have fallen so short. And I just have to think about what God looks down and sees. He sees us killing innocent babies that have committed no wrong, that they have done nothing wrong. But we're killing them just because we can, just because they're some kind of a hindrance to us. They're some kind of they're just a hindrance or something, and we're murdering millions of babies, and it doesn't seem to faze people. Nobody cares. And I mean, I've had it. I've only been on this world for 20 years, and I'm so done dealing with the nonsense and the lies and the despicable behavior of the left, and how there's no end to the fanaticism, there's no end to the insanity, there's no end to the progressivism, there's no end to it. It just continues and continues and continues. And that's why today we're talking about socialism, we're talking about infanticide. Like, in what world did people see the USSR and think, oh yeah, socialism, great? People see Venezuela and they're like, oh yeah, socialism's great. It's just, facts are facts. You cannot dispute facts. That's the definition of facts. They are factual. There's no like getting around it. It is true, absolutely, unequivocally true. And when they go completely against fact, when they go completely against biology, when they go completely against economics, to form an incentive, that the idea in a person's mind, they appeal to your ability to, or your, what's it called? When they appeal to your emotions, when they appeal to your desires and your envy, when they tell you that, you don't have to carry that baby, it doesn't have to be a burden. When they tell you that, oh yeah, we can give you free college. When they tell you, oh yeah, we'll have Medicare for all this nonsense that goes completely against everything that we stand for as a country. They have completely lost sight of what America is, what America should be. The Democrats are no longer our friends. They are no longer people that we can sit down and reason with. There are a few of them, but mainstream Democrats, those that are in office, are the mainstream. You want to know why? Because that's how a democracy works. That's how our representative republic works. We, the people, vote those people into office. And when the Democrats that are sitting there voting down bills like this and saying that it's all about women's rights and whatnot, those people were put in place by the majority of people in their districts. Those people were put into place by a majority of Democrats. And so that makes it the mainstream idea. That makes it the idea. If you do not support abortion, if you are pro-life, you cannot vote Democrat. You cannot do it. It doesn't happen. There's no logical way around it. I'm sorry your party has gone so mad and insane, but I promise you that the conservative movement, the libertarian movement, we're so open to new ideas and new people that we are more than willing to sit down and talk to you and explain our ideas. But if you side with them, the others, the enemy, you no longer hold high importance. I don't care anymore. If you support this, if you support legitimate infanticide, if you support socialism, you are so crazy and off your rocker that I'm not going to even bother to try to change your mind, because you are so far gone. I'm willing to talk to you if we can have civil discussion, but about this, I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure I can. There's no line that I'm willing to draw. There's no time when it's okay to kill a baby, a legitimate baby that has just come out of the womb, whether it has Down syndrome, autism, an arm growing out of its stomach, a heart outside of its body. None of that should equivalent to you murdering children and babies. It is so barbaric and disgusting. It's something that, I mean, like, you have to go back thousands and thousands of years for you to literally find, like, child sacrifice, man. Like, people used to sacrifice children, and this is no different. This is not any different. They want government to be your god. They want abortion to be for everybody, you know. They want to just kill us all, I guess. It doesn't, the logic is not there. The logic has left the Democratic Party. It is gone, and I'm sorry, but it's true. I'm sorry. The era of civil debate is gone. Violence is never the answer, but this is just, it's gone so far, and it hurts. It hurts me on the inside. My morals, everything I stand for, it hurts. It really does. Well, that's it for my rant for today. Sorry for having to talk about such a depressing thing, but that's what politics is today. You know, it's depressing. And then we have Trump in the office, and that's great. He offers some comic relief every now and again, which is always great, as long as he's not doing something dumb. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And this has been the Smoke Filled Room podcast. See you guys next time.